Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy!
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we discuss selling volume and why are options so expensive, along with the past week and a half's market.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Hugh knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
Rob, 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us. Pennies.
Going in Raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity Dips, and Hugh Honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Wednesday, September the 28th. And Hugh, you've been in Greece for the past week.
Yeah, baby.
We're going to get to how that trip was in a bit. But since the last time we recorded, the market was around 395. We're currently at 363. So we've dropped around 10%. Good bit. We've dropped a good bit since we last spoke. Obviously, we had the Fed meeting last Wednesday, I believe. Do you have an overall reasoning for this 10% drop? I know you give out your levels every day, but I mean, did you see this big of a drop? And do you see more coming?
So, okay. First off, I'm just gonna toot the boys' horn real quick, because 3 weeks ago, we sat on this podcast and we said, okay, and this is when CPI hit. Originally, if you guys remember, we had said that if SPY went back up and tested 420 and went back underneath 400, that it would see 350 before it saw 420 again. And then we revised it because CPI bought it near 400. And we said that it would see 370 before it saw 420 again. Okay. And now we are at 363. Okay, so I just want to, I'm just going to pat the boys on the back. I did have puts, and I did cut most of them. It was a good play. I was in the puts for like 10 days. They were like November puts, and they went 300%. I'm never going to be bitch at that. Like, honestly, it was a fantastic trade. Those are the types of trades that I size heavy. And it worked out well. And those are the types of plays that I love. Like, I love trend trades, that work out really well. So yeah, so that was exciting. That was a good play. Right now, currently on the market needs to make a big move.
You don't think 10% down is a big move? I mean,
okay. I mean, hang on. Let me build up my little trusty John here. Okay, so since last Thursday, we've kind of been inside this little bit of 10-point range. I really need, and especially since last Friday. Okay, we've been in a really tight range. Like, we're talking like $5 here, which, we're used to $5 moving in a day. And so for me personally, I need a big move in a different direction now. So I need 350 or I need 375, I want to say, before I really look to sink my teeth in one way or the other. Because inside this range, it's just way too easy to get chopped. So even if I see a buy signal that I like, I'm probably not going to size into it. And even if I see a sell signal that I like, I'm probably not going to size into it. And that's just because the market needs to make a move, because I'm not going to get into a situation where I'm going to, let's just say try and buy the breakout and then we're testing 362 and I'm not sleeping well. Or it's coming close to my stop. Like I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing the game where, it hits my level that I want to buy calls at. And instead, I'm like worrying about, what happens after this. You know what I mean? So I need like a serious gap up day, which we thought, was going to be the Tuesday. The market was up like 1.5% at open, near 9:45 a.m. and it closed the day down 0.25%. That's ridiculous. While we're on the subject, pattern recognition in trading is so important. You guys can see the algorithm that is currently on the market. Okay. You see it. And we're recording this on Tuesday night. I bet Wednesday you see it, or, I bet Wednesday you see it. Watch, this will be the first time in a week that it doesn't do it. You see the pop it open. Okay. And here's the thing is that like my level for the past few days has been that 370 level. Today it hit like 370, 330. I had a bunch of people buy calls and this was at like 9:40 a.m. and then it got smoked from there. And if you look on the 5-minute chart, I have it pulled up right now. It is the ugliest reversal candle I've seen. It clearly rejects that level. Okay. And again, if you guys see the pattern of the last few days, 9:30 to 10 a.m., it booms. Then it fades all day for the rest of the day. It chops and fades, chops and fades, chops and fades. That's what we've seen. So why would this day be any different? We need that confirmation for me to buy calls. I said it inside the tweet on Tuesday. I give you guys my playbook, but then I feel like you guys just go rogue on it. Tuesday I tweeted and I said that I have no interest 363 to 370 and a base above and hold 370, and we will see 375.30 and 378.20. And then I put in parentheses, I need confirmation on this. Go back and look at Tuesday's candle when it hit 370. It is a pure textbook reject. So please, guys, I'll go over confirmation with you guys, but we go over I feel like we go over a lot, and we need that confirmation, especially when we're inside this tight range and it's just been chop after chop after chop. So please, that's my little tangent. If you guys are the type of trader to get chopped up, do yourself a favor and size down to 20%. 20% of your normal trade, of your normal trading position. And wait for either SPY 375 or SPY 350. Then we can come back and reevaluate and see if there's a setup. But currently, there's no setup. Okay. We talked about it at the beginning. Okay. We could have bought SPY 385, rode it up to 410, and then we shorted it from 401 to 370 and now 363. We'll get an opportunity. Okay, I'm telling you. Okay, like for instance, the SPY puts that went 300%. I sized 20% of my account in there. You guys can do the math. Okay, really good payday. We'll get the opportunities. It's about patience.
300% on a 20% of your account trade is pretty big. That's around 60%.
Yeah. And I did cut some. Actually, I will say that the first day that it was up 8%, I cut 5% of the position. So, I guess really I only had 17% of my account in there. But it was a great trade. It was, and again, like I'll peel some off, once it gets, before CPI, I peeled some off when we were at like 380. I peeled some off, I'll peel some off. But overall, the last little cut was like 320%. Like I still had like 10% of my account there. Like those are the types of trades where like, I'm okay with waiting 2-3 weeks if we get trades like that.
All right. Well, is there anything you want to touch on? I know you mentioned before we dove into it last week or before we left about waiting for the Fed to really make your big moves. And obviously, unless you took puts, that probably would have been your best bet. But as you're seeing now, we're down a lot from the peak of last Wednesday. Do you know what exactly they said? We all saw the Joe Biden interview where he's saying how 8.3% isn't that bad in inflation because, we were only at 8.2. But I saw someone be like, this is like a first mate be like, hey, captain, ship sinking. He's like, oh, well, I mean, at least it's leveled out. I mean, he's like, captain, ship still sinking, man. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I you know what? I don't know. I feel like I try and be the nicest possible person I can possibly be. However, the Joe Biden interview was kind of brutal to watch.
You know, even if there is someone else like behind the table, like behind the scenes pulling the strings, like with George Bush and Dick Cheney was kind of behind that. I don't really think Kamala Harris is behind it, but I feel like you could have at least picked a better fucking figurehead compared to even to George Bush, who everyone just thought was, you know, really on the spectrum of having a double-digit IQ. Now we're like, damn, you know what? Not that bad.
Yeah, in even like, listen. So here's the thing: is that I don't care how smart you are. At 80 years old, you shouldn't be running anything other than bingo. Like that is, in my opinion, that is the top of the tier. You can run puzzles, bingo. You can drive, potentially, maybe, you know. But to me, it's just the way that the world works. When you get to 80, you're not as sharp. And
like, does any 80-year-old have anything in common with a 25-year-old?
No, and that's the thing, is that so much changes. You know, it's and so this is where it's like Joe Biden. I really don't care about Joe Biden. You know, like I don't think Joe Biden does anything malicious. I just think that he's just an older man who just needs to like enjoy retirement. You know, like when he was vice president in 2008, that was the time for him to potentially be president. You know, he's like, what would he have been? Like, he would have been, 65. You know,
Joe
like,
Biden is 79. Dude, even in 2012, he would have been 69. So yeah, 65, the first term of Obama.
So like, that's like the time where like, that's your opportunity to become president. I understand.
I mean, then again, Donald Trump is 76 right now, but he just doesn't seem as fucking.
I don't care if fucking Elon Musk, or like, I don't even know the smartest person that I know, but I don't care who it is. At 80 years old, I don't want you running the country.
Nancy Pelosi looks pretty hot for 82.
Hey, Nancy Pelosi, perfect example. Okay,
82, she's kind of hot.
That's disgusting on so many levels.
She's 80 for 82. Not bad looking. She's just on like the related people. Yeah, sorry. I just got horny looking up Joe Biden.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, so basically, the whole point of what I was trying to say is that I don't think Biden's doing anything malicious, in my personal opinion. I just think that the presidency is a little much for an 80-year-old.
It's like when your grandma says something pretty racist and you're like, oh, well, it is grandma. Like, you can't.
It's like
she grew up at a different time.
Well, so that's the thing, is that like Biden, like, I don't think he's saying anything malicious. And like, do I think like, okay, Joe Biden is a very rich American. Like there's like most politicians that reach Congress, you know, are very rich. Like there's no, that's a fact.
I'm surprised like, Trump didn't try and make the presidents pay higher. He's like, I think maybe 1.5 million would be more reasonable.
Yeah, 400,000. This is 400 million.
He gets the job and he's like, wait, what?
He'd be like, this is poverty.
Whoa.
Yeah, no. So like I said, I don't think Joe Biden was trying to do anything malicious, but that interview was tough to watch. And it really, what I think it showed is the disconnect between the current administration and the average American. Like let's be honest, like $200 to Joe Biden means shit. Doesn't mean anything. Okay. $200 to most Americans, difference per month, is really making the difference. And so that's where my issue comes in, where like I just think there's a disconnect between like, oh, like At least it didn't go up. Like, brother, it's still fucking terrible. Like it's appalling how bad inflation is right now. And so that's the thing, is that interview was tough to watch. Simply because, like I said, I don't think it was malicious. I just think it's one of those things where, like, he's a little out of touch, and he's 80 years old. So with all that being said, let's move on to the Fed.
Okay, the Fed. I think that's actually how I introduced this question earlier.
I think that is, yeah. But
then we went into Joe Biden.
We went into Joe Biden just because
he is the commander in chief.
Yeah, listen, Joe Biden. If you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are, obviously, listen, DM me. I would love to. I would love to talk.
Are you saying to Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why, is that like too crazy of a request?
No, I think it's like you get a DM, like it rises drops, like, hey Hugh, I heard what you said, man. A couple of the things really hurt my feelings.
Like, I heard that comment.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Well, one of our editors does work for the Pentagon, so
that is true. We should get Vinny to talk to Joe for us.
Yeah. But okay, but so the Fed basically said, and this is a really interesting thing. They basically said that we probably won't reach 2% by the end of the year, which, like, shocking. Like, this is really groundbreaking news.
Yeah, humans won't be running a 2-minute mile in a year either. There's mine.
And the second thing that was important was that they basically said that they were going to continue to raise for the foreseeable future. Now, with that being said, that changes day to day. Like, we all know this. Like, and this goes back to, like, it's really not so much what the Fed said this meeting. It's really the fact of what they've said in previous meetings, and they've really just, like, screwed the pooch. Like, you can't promise 2%. Like, you can't promise that, like, everything's going to be okay, when historically speaking, the numbers do not say that. Like, the numbers don't even remotely say that. And I think that's my issue with all of this. And it's always been my issue is that you can't say inflation will be at 2% when that's literally statistically impossible. You also can't say that the labor market is strong through the raising of rates, because it's too close to tell. It's like me eating fucking 15 cheeseburgers and like 2 minutes later, and 2 minutes later being like, I didn't gain any weight. Like, it's a lagging indicator. Like, give it 2 weeks. On those cheeseburgers. Same thing with the Fed. Give it 6 to 8 months. Like, that's going to be when you're going to know if the labor market was in fact affected. And so that's the thing, is I just think, the Fed, it's just really tough for me to back the Fed, because I can back the mistakes like we've talked about. It's when it feels like they're trying to make us feel stupid. Like, that's the issue that I have, is that it's like, hey, like, we're not going to reach the 2%, but we'll be there soon enough. It's like, brother, like, we can read. Like, we're not stupid. Like, 2% or even 4% within the next, like, 12 months would be incredible. So don't promise. Just give it to us straight, because when you don't give it to us straight, now we're at 52-week lows. What is this, like a week later? A week and a half later? Like, just give it to us straight, because if you don't give it to us straight, it's just going to end bad. It's going to end bad either way. But if you don't give it to us straight, it's like when if your girlfriend cheats on you, like, you're going to find out eventually. But, would you rather her tell you, or would you rather find
Ignorance
out from
bliss, dude?
I guess. But yeah, I guess you're right. But it's one of those things where it's your homie. Like, like that she's cheating, and that she's always texting him, and
you're just like not looking at her phone because you know what's on there. Exactly.
That's what the Fed feels like. It's just texting, like our Fed feels like it's cheating on us, and like looking us inside the eyes and being like, no, you're my number one. I don't talk to any other boys, And so that's kind of sorry, that's a little bit of a tangent, but you know,
You
that's
going
kind
through
of what
something,
that
dude?
feels
You need
like.
someone to talk to?
So that's kind of how it feels. The Fed, I really think that we start to see inflation coming down, and that should help the market. Because I mean, at this point, like, you know, if the market keeps doing this, I mean, you know, we'll be we'll be at 300 before. I mean, we'll be at 300 in like 2 weeks. You know, if the current pace of the decline keeps up.
I mean, according to Joe Biden, it's not that bad.
Yeah, exactly. So pretty much at this point, for me, I'm waiting, you know, like I said, 375 or 350. That's what I want to see. And then we can reevaluate for a new setup.
All right, so you wanted to hear about selling volume when it comes to VIX, just basically the opposite of what we've kind of dove into recently. Where do you even come on to start with that? Because I feel like, is there ways to kind of see where this is going?
Yeah, so the one thing that a lot of newer traders run into is that when the VIX spikes and they realize that options are more, well, actually, they probably don't realize that options are more expensive. What ends up happening is that they start to see that they're making less money on the same return. So let me say that again. Newer traders will notice that on the same exact move, they're making less money. And I'm going to tell you why that is. When the VIX rises above 40, premiums get super expensive. So that means that like an option that should be trading at, let's just say an option that typically trades at $3 is typically trading at $6. This makes it more expensive. This means that your break even and your profit will be less if it ultimately hits, or on the other side, your loss will be much larger. Typically, when the VIX gets above 40, I try to look less at buying options outright and looking more at selling the opposite. So what I mean by that is that let's just say that I'm taking, and again, this is when the VIX gets above 40. And the one thing that's important here is that with the market, you're seeing a lot of controlled selling. You know, you're not really seeing any panic selling recently. And that's the important thing that I want everyone to note, is that this is still super controlled selling. If panic selling doesn't ensue, first off, we'll get like a really big red day. You'll get a lot of volume and the VIX will spike. A lot of traders from COVID haven't seen the type of VIX spike. Well, maybe you saw it during COVID, like literally like March 2020.
But once it started after that, this could be a new experience.
Yeah, exactly. The ones that started after that, you haven't really seen what the VIX can do. And what I mean by that is that when the VIX wants to go, the VIX will go. And I'm not talking like 30%. I'm talking like the VIX can go 40 to 70 overnight. And right now, if you guys pull up the 3-year 1-day chart, okay, you see that the VIX has really held this range from 35 to 18. Okay. And it really hasn't broken back over there. Now, if we go back to February 2020, the VIX spiked to 85. Okay. Now, subsequently, that, obviously we thought that, we were like witnessing the bubonic plague or some shit, like we really, we didn't
really exactly handle it as we should have. We overreacted a tad.
Yeah. So like, do I think that the VIX sees like 85 on the Fed? No. But if the VIX does break over 35, that's going to be pretty important level because it's held that range for the past year and a half. Now, with the VIX, if it does get over that 35 level, like I said, the 40 level is important. Then, like I said, is that you're really going to start to notice that you're going to have to make a lot more on that option. So instead, what I like to do is that let's just say that I want to take a SPY 350 put. So I think that, SPY 350, SPY is going to go to 350. I want to buy puts. Instead, what I'll do is that I'll find something with the same expiration date on the call side with the same delta, and I'll sell that premium. And so what's going to happen is that when SPY goes down, that the price of the SPY call that I'm short because I sold it is going to get smoked. So let's just say that typically, okay, so I'm going to give an example. Let's just say that a SPY 350 put would typically if it went from 360 to 350, let's just say that it typically would go from $5 to $7. Well, when the VIX is above 40, that will really only go from $5 to $5.50. Okay? So what I'm doing is that now I'm switching that. And so when Apple calls, let's just say that the Apple calls are, let's just say when, again, SPY is at 360, let's just say the Apple calls are typically $5 and now they're $6 because the VIX is above 40. That is when I'm going to sell them again because I think the market's going to go down. And so now those will get cheaper, as the S&P 500 goes down. Okay. So a lot of traders don't like when the VIX is high. Personally, I love it because there's a lot of money to be made. Because again, if everything's already more expensive, if the move goes in your direction and you're shorting the other side, there's a lot more room to go down. Because again, 90% of options expire worthless. So if I'm trading, let's just say SPY 367 calls and I sell them and we go to 350, well, even if they're 2 weeks out, SPY's not going to make it up. They're going to get smoked on that 10-point move down. And again, every single day that we move closer away from that, or every single day that we move closer to expiration, the price of the option is going to go down because, again, it has an expiration. It has a ticking time bomb. So I hope I'm explaining this correctly. I hope that you guys are understanding. But essentially, again, VIX goes over 40. Instead of buying puts, I'm going to sell calls. Vice versa. Instead of buying calls, I'm going to sell puts. Same expiration date, same delta. That's all I look for. And let me DM me if you guys have any questions.
So I know we've talked about buying puts on, everything like that. Yeah. Do you kind of go into covered calls and the differences in them and kind of let people know how to buy them and why they would? I know that's you did a little deep dive, but can you want to dive into the difference in covered calls versus regular calls and how they can use those to their advantage in this situation too?
Yeah, definitely. So first I'll read the definition of covered calls. A covered calls involves selling a call option on a stock that you already own. By owning the stock, you're, quote, covered, protected if the stock rises and the call option expires in the money. A covered call is one of the lower risk option strategies, and it's even suitable for beginner option investors. That's funny. I've never heard that. Beginner option investors. So again, essentially what you're doing is that you already are invested in the stock. So let's take Apple or let's take SPY. We love SPY. You already own a bunch of SPY, but when you sell a call, so basically you're short the calls. Okay. And so, if the stock rises, and the call option expires in the money, you're basically, you're still fine. If the price of the stock goes down, then you're going to make money because the call that you sold, you were short, will go down as well. And so you'll make money shorting the call, basically. Like, so when the best way to use that is during high volatility times. So this is, perfect example. Spot VIX above 40, high volatility time, perfect time to sell calls, covered calls. Or if you're short a stock, selling puts. Same thing. Okay. Now, the important part about this is that, again, if you need the call to expire in the money. So that's the tricky part, is that let's just say that I want to sell a covered call and I want to make the most money. The issue is that you need to pick a call that can expire in the money, or you're going to make enough on the short side. So like, for instance, if the stock just stays stagnant and it doesn't hit your call, you're going to lose. So the best thing to probably do is probably take something that's already in the money, basically. Does that make sense?
It does. Is there anything else you kind of want to touch on options and selling volume?
If you guys have really good, if you guys really want to learn more, like, I don't want to go too much in depth because I think that I'll end up confusing a lot of people. So if you guys like this topic,
I can email us at team@Pennies Going and Raw some more questions.
And we'll go, I'd love to go more in depth about it. I just don't want to confuse too many people. If like only a few thousand people like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one thing, you did just get back from Greece. Is there any parts of that trip you want to talk about? Some fun parts of Greece? Did you meet Giannis? Like, what happened, man?
So first off, something that really cool that happened is that so most people get from island to island on the ferries. Or a plane. I took both, but the ferries for the most part. And the ferries are really cool because I was going from Santorini to Paros, and I got a message inside my Twitter DMs that said, "Hey, Hugh, I think I just saw you." And I'm like thinking to myself, like, I'm not even in America, like. I'm not even in America. Like, that's impossible. I'm like, "Hey, bro, like, I'm in Greece, like you just saw like another white guy that's 5'8", He's like, "No, bro, like, are you in Santorini, port? Like, I saw that you were in Greece. Like I figured it has to be you. I'm with your girl. I mean, I'm with my, whoa. That'd be a shocker. I'm with my girl." And I'm like, no freaking way. But again, at this, like, I hadn't seen the message for like 25 minutes. So we ended up meeting. Well, we didn't end up meeting because he went on the boat, but I ended up seeing him from afar. Literally, almost like first time that I almost like brushed by him because I was like walking up to my terminal, and I thought that was my terminal, and it wasn't. It was his terminal. So we literally like almost bumped into each other. He said that we like locked eyes. So,
dude, y'all got close.
Yeah. But so that was pretty cool because like I'll meet people. You too. I mean, honestly, you meet tons of people.
I'll really be out on the town though.
Yeah, I mean, you meet tons of people. Me on the other hand,
I met someone playing Halo the other day.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. So you like, I feel like you really meet a lot of people. I meet people when I go out in the city more so than anything.
It's tough to meet them when you're just in your living room.
And so that's always a cool experience, but especially for it to be in Greece, that was I felt like a hot shot. So thank you, Johnny, for making me feel like a hot shot. It's much appreciated. But overall, the trip was great. It was a lot of R&R, kinda. I worked the entire trip, which was fun. Like I know, like I get shit for working during trips, but honestly, I just enjoy work. So it was more like I get to enjoy work inside a beautiful place.
With a view.
Yeah. And like, that's like the best to me, like I wouldn't want to not work for the entire trip. So it was really cool. But me, I love a good routine. I love to be back. And yeah, I'm really excited for the fall and the end of the year.
All right, well, welcome back to America, and we are back to our regularly scheduled program on Wednesdays and Sundays. Sorry we missed you on past Sunday. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the rerun of the Roth episode we just fucking gave you guys. And by rerun, we mean we literally just posted the exact same fucking one.
Well, so I didn't even know that was really like a thing, and then I've been listening to more podcasts recently, and more true crime, and then like How I Built This by guy something I forget, but anyway, well, yeah, and you know, like he talks about like, oh, like I love rerunning episodes because people you either have newer people that listen for the first time, or you have people who re-listen and get more out of it. And I was like,
this is just what we needed to be more lazy.
Well, so at the time I was like, I don't know. And then you know, once he like explained it to me, you know, I was like, it makes sense. Like, I get it.
We'll just post the same ones and be like, hey, have we already released this one before? I don't know. You tell us.
I don't know. Like, editors, we'll just blame it on Vinny and Christian.
Yeah, dude, how many people would really notice if we drop one from a year and a half ago?
Probably a lot, because every episode you start with, on this episode, Pennies and then we talk about Spy and the Spy's price for the first 15 minutes.
Okay, we'll just line them up with when Spy's that price. So we'll figure it all out. We'll work the logistics and figure it all out. All right, guys. We will see you on Sunday. And hopefully Spy will be at 3:30. Peace. Love you. Bye.
Pennies Going in Raw is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.